Hey guys, ready to start day 5 of our walk along this abandoned railway line. Those of you who haven't seen the first 4 days, there'll be links to those videos underneath this video in the comment section. As you can see, we're taking up where we left off at this station. So it turns out the last train ran on this track about 14 years ago, 13 or 14 years ago, and the track had been in use for about 100 years apparently. So the information we'll be getting is a bit sketchy and occasionally a bit ambiguous. We seem to be getting a couple of different sets of information conflicting a little bit, but that seems to be about the deal. It's been shut down for 13 years and it ran for about 100. It's an odd thing, isn't it? It looks like the local association put this thing together and they just run it up and down this little piece of track next to the old station. If it ran a bit smoother, we'd be jumping on it and taking off on it, wouldn't we? Putting a little two-stroke motor on it maybe. So some parts of the track, as you can see here, they've actually laid down gravel in between the two tracks. Obviously that's so that they can push their little red cart up and down there. But there have been parts of the track you might have noticed where they've done things like that, usually in the areas where people are sort of using the track as a path. Because obviously when that gravel's not laid between the tracks like that, what we have is the sleepers and the fairly lumpy, sharp rocks that usually lie between the sleepers. Railway tracks obviously aren't designed to be walked on usually. And usually walking on the sleepers and the rocks is actually pretty hard work, as you can imagine. But in this case this gravel was pretty comfy, so we could cruise along at a pretty decent rate. So again, same as the previous 4 days of doing this, we're keeping a very close eye out for snakes in amongst these weeds. Those nice warm stones there would be an attractive place for a snake to have a little rest, warm up a bit, recover from the rain. So you can see that little stretch near the station obviously gets maintained by the local association, but as we get away from that station it starts to, the battle starts to be won by the forest. Still pretty warm in Japan at the moment. It's about 33 degrees this day, and obviously humidity was pretty high. It had been raining pretty heavily for a day or two, so humidity was really high. The river was up. They actually sounded the sirens. There was a big announcement on the PA system up and down the valley, and they said that the water was going to peak during the day and that people should stay away from the river, and there was a siren sounded, the warning sirens. But not going to affect us. This line's considerably higher than the river, so it's not going to affect us. You can sort of see why they lost the battle against the nature when it came to maintaining this line. You can just imagine it would have been constant work to keep the trees back from the line, and you can imagine the cost of maintaining the line. Those of you who've seen the other 4 videos, the countryside it goes through is fairly wild, isn't it? So the cost of maintaining it must have been huge. So it wasn't enough people using it. These days everybody driving their cars. You can imagine it would have been hard to balance the books. A remote rural area with not a lot of people, and not a lot of people using the line, and then the huge amount of cost must have been involved. They must have had guys working on this one line constantly to keep the trees back. Must have cost a fortune to build it too. These cuttings, the cuttings are amazing through solid rock. We see lots of them on this walk. Serious cuttings like this through serious rock, and then the tunnels and the bridges and everything else. Must have been a huge expanse. The line is still there. It's hard to see, isn't it? So see how much harder it is now. There's those. Now we've just got the 2 lines with the sleepers in between, and the serious rocks in between the sleepers, plus sundry bits of branches and trees and things. Those cut off posts. So they must have gone right down the line, and all those electrical wooden poles, they've cut them all off about 1 metre off the ground. You must have used them for something. There must have been a reason they went and cut them all down. So there must have been hundreds of them on this stretch. So this is a little bit further up. It got heavier and heavier and heavier, and then it actually went under a road bridge. So So the track's down there. It's really hard to see, but it is there. And we're standing on the bridge. There's the track. And there's under the bridge. Big cutting that goes through underneath this little bridge that goes across the road, goes across the track with a road on it. And there's the other side there. Just ridiculous. Couldn't get through it. Had to climb up the bank and go around it because it was just too serious. Obviously underneath the tunnel's okay, underneath the bridge is okay, but the growth on the track itself is just out of hand here. No way to get through it. See? Full on. Couldn't even find the track here. The rails themselves. Couldn't find the rails. Got to go that way. So we had to go around it. It was too heavy. And have a look at this. Look, this is the next bit we could get to. So that's a main highway up there, a major highway. And obviously there's a big factory down here. And buildings, factory buildings. And in amongst them all, we found the bridge, look. So that thick bit we just showed you leads down to this bridge. And this bridge goes across here. There it goes over to the other side. There, up there. Obviously no way to get up there either. So we had to go around this bit and get to the other side of this bit. Which looked like that. That's what the other side of that looked like. And the rails start to appear again. They are there. And there would have been a crossing here, level crossing here across this road with boom gates, you'd imagine. And off it goes over there. No way were we going to walk through that. There'll be snakes in there. That's so deep. It's about 1 metre deep in overgrowth, undergrowth. There's a track over there. Just snake heaven in there. And as you guys know, there's a few deadly snakes in Japan. So sorry guys, not going to walk through that. So we'll go around that bit too. Not going to do you guys a lot of good if we walk through that and video it anyway. You're not going to see much more than what we're looking at, are you? And if we died, you'd feel bad. If we died, we'd feel bad. So we'll just go around it. There's actually a little road that went along beside it, so we could get around it to the other side of that bit. That looked like that. And then it came through here. All the way through was like that. Look, really thick. Really thick. Really thick. And then behind those houses, look, you can see it down there. The lines are still there. They're still there. They didn't lift them. They're nowhere, except where they've crossed roads, they've lifted them, but everywhere else they've just left them there. There they are. There it goes off that way. And again, the lines are there, we just can't see them, but they're there underneath that growth. And we made it to a station. Really wet. That was really, really wet. Again, the lines are there. We're actually walking on, you can sort of see them. Really, really heavy. So, we're going to leave it here, the end of day 5. And then the next day is going to be the big push from this station through to where it joins up with the actual active line that actually runs, still has trains running on it. That'll be the last day coming up next. More videos coming soon.